I found out really not many people were doing it. It was so painful. The emotions that families were going through. Many of them didn't want to be with other families, didn't want to hear other stories. And I know that's changed over the years, but it was something that I thought everybody did. And I said, hey, do you know this family? This family lost their son, or this gentleman lost his wife, or no, I never met them before in the same town. And I thought, wow. So after attending funerals for 2 years, and I know many of you, one of the things that happens, in this process is that people want to do things for you. They want to send you gifts. And I know, and Reagan is here, and thank you for being here, Michael, is that Michael is one that sends gifts. He wants to bring comfort to those families. And we've got gifts after gifts, quilts and paintings and dog tags and rocks and all kinds of gifts. But not one of those gifts was really what we wanted, right? We wanted one more minute with our loved one. Just one more minute is all we wanted. And so it came a time in the process of grieving where I wanted to give a gift. And I thought, well, what could I do? I didn't want to get anything more. I wanted to give because that's where my heart was. I wanted to bring healing and not pain. And in meeting all these families, I found two things were important to every family. That their loved one didn't die in vain, and they wouldn't be forgotten. The two most important things that we as North Stars have to hold on to, right? We didn't want their lives to have been wasted in some way, whatever that may be in our own minds, or we didn't want them to be forgotten. And I know that many of you, how many have a tattoo? Yeah, right? We're figuring out a way to keep our loved ones forever remembered, right? There's families that have done scholarship programs, they do 5Ks, they have banquets, they do so many things in the name of their loved one to keep their loved one remembered. It's a natural gravity that we want to hold on to. So I thought, I can't answer the in vain part. There's nothing I can do for that. You have to answer that in your own mind. But I will tell you that as long as the American flag flies freely on free soil that we live in, that no death will ever have been in vain. I don't care how it happens. No military death will ever have been in vain. And I don't care what era you're looking at or what type of casualty. So I thought, let's go to the part about remembrance. What could I do as an individual that would bring remembrance to I don't know all the families, and there's tens of thousands of families, right? They say that there's more, take Vietnam alone, 58,000 plus deaths. They say there's been more deaths since Vietnam because of Vietnam than there even was in Vietnam, right? Just one era. The same has happened now in the War on Terror and previous wars throughout generations. Millions have given their lives for our freedom. How do you reach them all? How do you send a message? You can't just write a book or get on television or get your story in a magazine, because all of those things are blips. They just fall behind the next news story. It's not something permanent and lasting. And what I wanted to do was to figure out a way to leave a legacy. To figure out a way that families would be remembered from the past, from the present, and those that will be giving their lives into the future will have a lasting way of being remembered forever. And as I was going to these funerals, the one thing that I saw consistently were the Patriot Guard riders, right? They were there with flag lines, standing in support of our loved ones. And that many of them were obviously U.S. flag line, but every once in a while you'd see the POW MIA flag. And I thought, wow, how cool is that? But then I thought, why? Why is there a POW MIA flag? This individual died in Afghanistan, or died in Iraq, or died in the States. Why are they holding it? It's because it was that generation's flag. They were holding their military flag. That was their connection. That was what they were there for, to provide sympathy. What hit me one day was, there's nothing in America that stands for the Gold Star family, that stands for those military deaths. There's nothing specifically that anybody can hold that you can look at and go, that says thank you for that sacrifice. And there's been arguments about all kinds of different aspects of the American flag, for instance. Well, the American flag stands for sacrifice, yes, but it stands for freedom, it stands for diversity, it stands for the gold medal winner at the Olympics. We have it on the moon. It doesn't stand specifically for our nation's military fallen and their families. So I thought maybe that would be the answer, to create a flag that does nothing. When you see it as families, no matter what you see, in any other symbolic representation, when you see that flag, you know that it's for you. Right? Whenever I see an American flag, I think of death, especially when it's folded. I'm not talking about flying, but whenever I see an American flag folded, that's all I can think about anymore is death. I spent a lot of time in Congress with some legislation for the flag, but everywhere I went, they had folded flags, up on their bookshelves. And immediately my question was, who did you lose? Who did you lose? Tell me about that person. Oh no, that flew over the Capitol, or that flew over our state, or whatever. And I went, man, I just can't look at all these folded flags. It was just really hard for me. This is the importance of the Honor Member flag. So in 2008, on Memorial Day, I unveiled publicly the first symbol that I hoped in America that would represent our Gold Star families. I don't have a generic flag here, so I can't open it. But when you see the flag, you'll know the very specific symbolism. I don't even have to explain it to you. But I will briefly, and then you'll know when you see it. The flag represents, the top of the flag has a red field. That red represents the sacrifice of bloodshed. It's an American flag color, American flag red. The white beneath it signifies the purity of their sacrifice, because every one of our men and women with a pure heart said, you know what, we know what we're doing, we've got it covered, we'll be back. In the center of the flag is a blue star. It's kind of on my shirt here. Is a blue star. That blue star goes back to World War I, when during that war, if a family had someone in the fight, they had a solid blue star that hung in a banner on a window or door. And let the neighbors know and the community know that they had a family member that was out there fighting. There could be 1 star, 2 star, 5 stars, right? But if that star was overlaid with a gold star, that's where that community knew that that family had lost a loved one. That's where we get the term Gold Star. So many in America don't know what a Gold Star family is. And I hope that this flag will help bring that education about. There are even those in the service that don't know what a Gold Star is. And it really is a travesty that happened, within our own armed forces. So beneath those stars is a folded flag. That folded flag represents that life given, that one life on each flag. And the way I like to say it is that our country was built on one folded flag at a time. Each one of those lives individually. Above the flag is our eternal flames that we will never forget. That as a country, we will always keep their memory burning in our hearts. And the words below, we will always honor their sacrifice and remember them individually by name. So it's been my hope since Memorial Day of 2008 that this flag would fly on every flagpole in America. Every flagpole in America, every state capitol, every corporation, every church, every school system, everywhere. Why? So that when you see it, it says thank you to you. And that everyone who flies it is sending that message of, I understand and I will never forget. And so over the course of these 12 years now, we've been trying very diligently to make it a national symbol. 26 state adoptions. So over half the country has now adopted the flag as their state symbol of remembrance. Washington is not one of them. We've been working on Washington for many, many years. Monica and I were talking about it earlier, and we're going to make it happen. But that's the gift to the nation's families. When I first started this in 08, my wife said, you know what, you need to figure out a way to make this personal. You need to figure out a way not to just have this general display of flag, but a way to make a difference in the lives of every individual family. And it was interesting because the design of that flag lent itself perfectly to do what we're doing here today, and which is the heart really of what I want to be doing the rest of my life, and that is to just touch your life individually by name. And so the flag, although flying generic, and I just give you that background, is to bring us full circle to this moment right here where I'm able to honor each one of you individually for your loved ones, and to do that collectively, whether we do it, one on one, or as we do it as a group. I've presented flags at gravesite, and I've presented as many as 80 flags in one group. So the stretch has been pretty wide, over the years. But we have presented nearly 4,000 flags in 12 years. We present a flag on the average of one every single day somewhere in the country. Last year was over 400, and I think even with COVID, we have not let COVID put us down. And unfortunately, Monica and I were again talking about this, and I have to apologize, and I'll say this, out loud, is that I had to make a decision early in March because we had a lot of flag presentations that were scheduled because of events that we had planned to go to or create. And back in March, I said, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen with the families. I don't know if families are going to survive this all over the country. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to them. And flags were already made. And so I made this command decision to start mailing flags to families. We've gotten ourselves in binds before, but we didn't have the manpower to get them all out there to everybody, and not everybody had the opportunity to even meet other people. And so I said, you know what? I would rather bless a family, although there might not be a presentation. I would rather bless a family and have that flag in their hands so that they could be sharing it with their own family members than them not have the flag at all. So if any of you were in that position, I apologize. It is not, our standard or what we want to do and what we ever try to do. But I have literally had mothers on their deathbed die and not get a flag. I don't mean to be morbid, but it is so important to me that these flags are in the hands of families and not sitting on a shelf waiting to get to families. If it's not timely enough, then we're going to get them out there. And so in many cases, if I have to make a mistake, and I've said this to some of you, I'll make a mistake in the side of honor, and to bring honor to you, and as soon as I possibly can. So I'm here to make presentations and to honor your loved ones. I don't know you all, I haven't met you all, but we're going to do this in a very ceremonial way. I know everyone is here, so I'm just going to go in the order that I have the flags here. I'm going to read a certificate, and then Michael's going to help me. We're going to open these flags and present them to you, each one. Now, I would like for you, if you don't mind, I don't know if everybody knows each other. You may or may not. I certainly don't know you. If you would just take 1 minute, you don't have to, and just tell me something about your loved one, or tell us all a funny story, anything you want, or just something, so we get to know them personally, if you wouldn't mind. And so I have a flag here for Gautier family. How do you pronounce it?
Gautier.
Gautier. Okay. Come on up here and just stand here for a second. Michael, we didn't practice this. Let me just tell Michael one thing. You will hold this flag without letting it fall over.
Okay.
And then once I start reading this, you just grab this with one hand and let go of the rest and shake it, and it'll be perfect.
Great.
That's how you want.
All right.
What's your name?
Melanie.
That's Melanie. You're gonna help. So tell us about Bryce.
The funniest story that I remember about Bryce is probably my favorite. He was around 2, and I came home from work, and the toilet was overflowing. I'm like, what's going on? So I asked all the kids, what'd you do? Bryce says, well, Mom, I had to flush a toilet brush down the toilet because the Teenage Mutant Turtles live down there, and they need to brush their hair. So I couldn't get mad at them. I couldn't really reprimand them because I was too busy laughing inside thinking, you're too smart. And so I said, okay, well, that's fine, but next time you want to send them something, give it to me and I'll make sure they get it. So that's my favorite story.
Thank you. Okay, Martha. This honor and remember flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of Private First Class Bryce E. Gautier. With this flag, we honor this patriot's unwavering dedication and remember his selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol collectively as a nation, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you. Honored Bryce, thank you for being here. I'm so sorry.
Can I add something real quick? I presented the portrait to her on a Christmas Eve
In my home.
in Washington State when it was perfectly clear outside, colder than heck, but in Birch Bay, but it was magnificent.
Yeah, I remember that day very well.
As we were driving out, I saw the backside of Mount Baker for the first time in my life. But I remember that day. Thank you.
Thank you.
So fold the flag in half so you can read the name. Just fold it in half. And fold it in half again. Still reading the name.
The other hand.
And if you would present that to her as a sash on her arm. There you go. Perfect. Thank you.
We'll get this used
You're
to
going to get the next one, yeah?
We'll get used to this. Don't leave before we get this. Boy, are we breaking every law that there is?
I didn't breathe. I did not breathe.
I saw you.
This is our family. We can hug our family.
Could I have the Leshkar? Guys can all come up. Your first name? Okay, would you like to say a few words, please? Tell us about Mark.
Mark, from the time he was little, was very patriotic. He was huge in stature as well as his heart. So he joined the Air Force when he was 17 after 9/11 happened. I signed for him to enter. He got out. He didn't like civilian life. He wanted to go back so he could protect America. So he went back in to the Army. He became an Army Green Beret and lived his life very bold, very strong. And he loved his family and friends and very loyal.
Thank you. This honor and remember flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of Sergeant First Class Mark D. Leshkar. With this flag, we honor this patriot's dedication and remember their selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol collectively as a nation, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you. sister?
baby sister.
No, he's going.
Just leave.
Would you like to say something?
I don't even know what to say.
You want to say you have a funny story?
Lily had a Game Boy. He was sitting on the toilet doing his thing. Dropped it, but didn't know. He kept wanting to borrow his brother's, and it's finally when it came out, Mom, I dropped it on the toilet. On the garbage, but he was all about his family, jokester, and played Army, and
I just heard him say thanks for telling that story, Mom,
he tooted for you.
I tuned in for you.
Yeah.
a couple of times.
This honor remember flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of Specialist Joseph T. Ferrone. With this flag, we honor this patriot's unwavering dedication and remember his selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol collectively as a nation, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you. We actually had it fixed, but we didn't get it put in. Right?
Yeah, that's all right, sure.
Is the Jackson family here? We have the Jackson family?
No, they're not coming.
Oh, they're not coming. Never mind. So I surely knotted all these up with square knots. Crone family. Oh.
So I guess the story I can tell about Danielle is Danielle liked to feed all the homeless on the street corners. And so I also had to sign her because she was 17 when she went in. And before she left, after she graduated from high school, she went to all her corners and bought lunches for every homeless person that she would normally stop by and give food to. So she had homeless man bags in her car. When she got to Kansas, she called me and she goes, "Mom, I have my bags, but there's no homeless here." She was very disappointed.
Oh, that's great. That's great. This honor remember flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of Staff Sergeant Danielle M. Crone. With this flag, we honor this patriot's unwavering dedication and remember her selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol collectively as a nation, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you.
good too.
Monica? Tell us about Eric.
I have a good bathroom story, and I have other stories. Probably my favorite story of Eric is he came home one day and he goes, "Mom, don't we need new furniture?" And I'm like, "No, I think our furniture looks pretty good." Anyway, he was at a friend's house and they had no furniture and they just had beds, mattresses on the floor. They had no furniture in the living room. So I guess we decided as a family we needed new furniture, and he ended up giving all this furniture to our friends, his friends, and all he said was, my mom's getting rid of this, so she thought maybe you wanted it. And just like all your children, our kids grew up with these big hearts. They were willing to serve. Same thing, I signed up Eric on his 17th birthday to become a Marine. And you know, we raised good kids, and you got to remember that. And I also lived with. He served his life purpose, and it was just so much shorter than I wanted it to be. So that's my little son, Eric.
This honor remember flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of Lance Corporal Eric L. Ward. With this flag, we honor this patriot's unwavering dedication and remember his selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol collectively as a nation, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you.
Always something. Your life, Monica.
I didn't miss anybody, did I?
Linda,
Schmunk.
Ah, perfect. Linda showed up. Okay. Come on. You weren't in my pile.
You wouldn't have been missed. We would have
That's
missed
right. You have a story for us?
I do. Shane was quite a comic, and freshest memories I have are pre-deployment leave when he had a whole bunch of things he had to do. And one of them was go to a Christian store down at Totem Lake to get some music. And they have these listening headphones and stuff like that. And he comes out of the listening room and goes, "Wow, this is a really great place because there's a really hot girl sitting next to him." Going, oh my gosh.
We like the girl.
He liked the girl.
This honor remember flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of Lance